Hey, welcome to Z Cam Studio. My name is Damus, aka Pro X, and this is your place to be for videography. I've been using the Z Cam E2m4 for 2.5 years now, and I'm still in love with this camera. The image quality is super nice and it gets the job done every time. So, after 2.5 years of doing different shoots like after movies, promo videos, interviews, and documentaries, it's time to review and see if the Z Cam E2m4 is still worth it. So before we go to the Z Cam review, I want to show you my current setup. I switch from setup a lot, always looking for improvement to enjoy shooting more and looking for what works best for me, of course. I used to use my Z Cam on the gimbal a lot, but lately I do more handheld, shoulder rig or tripod shots just because I like the handheld look more, and for interviews or corporate shoots it gives a cleaner image when you use a shoulder rig or a tripod. So let's start with the E2m4 body. I use the Z Cam EF turbo mount to reduce the crop and get more image. My main go-to lens is the famous Sigma Art 18-35 f1.8, which gives a really nice quality, and for most shoots it's a nice range to cover different shots. I recently bought the Portkeys BM5 Mark II monitor because it has the possibility to remotely control the Z Cam by touchscreen. I use it on a few shoots now and it works really well, but it took some time getting used to doing it touchscreen instead of pressing the buttons on the Z Cam. To manual focus, I used the Small Rig Mini Follow Focus, which came with a handy NATO reel to attach on the Small Rig cage with an extension for a rod to attach the follow focus. For power, I use a V-mount battery attached on the Tilta NPF adapter to power the camera and the monitor. And on the right side I have a Small Rig wooden grip, and for sound I use the DD V-Mic D3 Pro. The top handle, I don't even know where I got it from, but I really like the rubber grip on it. And attached to it is the Small Rig monitor mount, and if I'm using the shoulder rig I attach the Small Rig adjustable EVF mount and attach the monitor for a better view. For storage, I use an Angelbird CFast card, 256 gigabytes. That's enough to shoot a lot of footage. I use the Small Rig Basics shoulder kit, which is really sturdy and got me some nice steady shots. And to quickly attach and detach the camera, I use a plate with a quick release, so I can easily switch from handheld to shoulder rig to tripod. I'm not going into the details on the rig, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. After 2 years, I noticed a lot of pros and some cons, and here's my top 3 pros and cons after 2.5 years of using the E2m4. Big pro is still the image quality. If the setting is right, nice lighting, sharp focus, you can get high quality images. I'm not a colorist, so I shoot in Rec 709 a lot and I just have to tweak it in post, maybe put a Rec 709 LUT on it and it's good to go. But if you really want to go all out, Z-Log is still the best way to go. Another pro is the riggability, and by that I mean the ability to rig it out. Because it has a square form, there's more room to attach things on multiple places instead of only having a cage around the sides of the camera like Sony or Blackmagic cages. You can attach things in the front or in the back of the Z Cam cage, and if you have the Z Cam back, you can even get more crazier. Also a pro are the codecs. I mainly shoot in 4K ProRes proxy just because it's easy to edit for me. I use all the Windows systems to edit, but it gets the job done. And when I only film and someone else edits the footage on a slower computer, it still works and it looks good. But if you want to go for the higher end shoots, you can use ProRes and take it up to 12-bit Z-RAW if you have the Ninja V with a lot of storage. Of course, there's a lot more pros to it, so if you have any questions, leave it down below in the comments. Heading over to the cons, first thing that comes to mind is the ND filter. Because the lowest ISO is 500, you can't just go out and shoot outside without using an ND filter. I already bought the Canon EF mount first and wanted to reduce the crop, so I bought the turbo mount, but then it turned out that you can't use the electronic ND filters with the turbo mount. So I'm still carrying around my ND filters to every shoot just in case I have to shoot outside, and I hope Z Cam comes up with a solution for that. Another con is still the audio latency. It has a headphone option, so you're supposed to monitor the sound right away, but because of the latency, it's hard during an interview to focus on the image when the audio is off and out of sync all the time. So when I have to monitor the sound, I use the Zoom H1n to record the sound separate and edit it later in post. Last con is the files when you record higher frame rates. I do a lot of after movies for break battles or sport things, so sometimes I record everything in 50 frames per second or higher. When you import the footage, everything is in slow motion, but the audio is at normal speed. So when you play back the footage to see if there's a piece you can use for your edit, you have to watch it in slow motion or scroll through the footage and speed it up at the timeline to see it at normal speed. It would be nice if it still had the 25 frames per second playback speed, but still the option to slow down the 50 frames per second like Sony or Canon footage. So that was my top 3 of pros and cons, although I don't like to call it cons, because you always have to look for solutions to your problems. So I found ways to work around a lot on the E2m4, and it works for me, so this camera is going to be by my side for a while. And that's it for the review. Any questions can be dropped in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I see you next time. Peace.